Dana is a swimming champion, preparing for her competitions on Monday. 24 hours before the big day, she disappears. Nobody can find her, and the police suspect 3 other swimmers. Hannah says she hasn't spoken to Dana since their last practice. Ashley explains that she invited Dana for lunch on Saturday, but the missing swimmer refused because she was getting her hair done for the competition. And Melanie says that she spoke to Dana the night before. Dana told her she was feeling anxious before the race. One of the swimmers is lying. Who is it? Ashley knows where Dana is. It doesn't make sense for a swimmer to have her hair done before a competition. Laura was walking home from work when she heard screams coming from a nearby house. She immediately rushed in to help. She followed the voice and it guided her to a basement. As soon as she walked in, the door slammed shut. 3 portals opened in front of her. Only one of them led to safety. The first portal was filled with giant venomous spiders. In the second portal, there was a huge suspended rock that was supposed to crash down the moment someone stepped in. In the third portal, 7 hungry crocodiles were waiting for their next victim. Can you help Laura choose the right portal? Laura should pick the second portal. She can throw her shoes inside, wait for the giant stone to fall to the ground, and make her way around it. Daniel is a sailor on a large cruise ship. One day, the captain asked him to go to the hold and get some supplies. But as the man was walking down the ladder, it broke. Try as he might, he couldn't get out. Sometime later, he discovered there was a hole in the side of the ship. More and more water was getting inside through this hole. How can Daniel get out? He can put on one of the life jackets that are in the room and wait for the water to fill the hold. This water will lift him and he'll be able to push the door open. Look at this man and 3 women attentively. Can you figure out which one of them is his real wife? It must be the girl on the left. Look, unlike the other 2 girls, she has nothing in her hands. At the same time, the man is holding a purse, which, if we're honest, doesn't match his style at all. Ben and his girlfriend Amelie went to explore a cave and got lost. After some time, they came across 2 people, a guy and a young woman. The man, bearded and rough-looking, had a shovel in his hands. I've been stuck here for a week. I know how to get to the surface, but I need your help. Come with me. The young woman exclaimed, "Don't trust him. He's a criminal."
Oh no.
"Follow me. I've been stuck here for way longer than him, but I think I know where the exit is." Who should Ben and Amelie believe? Ben and Amelie decided to follow the man. If the girl had been in the cave for so long, why did she look so tidy and have fresh flowers in her hair? Look at this image. Can you figure out who came from the past? It's this guy. Take a closer look at his chest. He's wearing a shirt frill. Those were popular in the 19th century. How about this picture? Who's from the past? I bet it's this young girl. Look at her weird hat. And now, will you be able to spot the time traveler? It's this lady. Have a look. She's wearing clogs. Nature photographer Lydia was out taking pictures of trees and flowers in the park. She stopped when she noticed some weird chemical smell in the air. She took photos of all 3 factories in the area. When Lydia looked at the images later, She immediately realized which factory emitted toxic gas. Can you figure it out too? It's not the first factory. It seems abandoned. The second one is surrounded by trees and flowers. It means the smoke coming out of its funnels is safe. It's the third factory that's the toxic one. The trees around it look dry and unhealthy, and the flowers have turned black. At the airport, a furious traveler claimed that the contents of his baggage had disappeared. When I got my suitcase, it was empty. I want compensation. After checking the passenger's info, an airport worker found out that he had indeed left London with a heavy suitcase. And now his bag was empty and a bit wet. But don't you think the whole situation is a bit suspicious? Can you figure out what probably happened here? The passenger left London with a suitcase full of ice. During the flight, the ice melted and the water leaked out, and the man demanded compensation for his lost belongings. Lauren cooked 10 buckets of chicken wings for a family gathering, one for each guest. But later, it turned out that Jimmy hadn't gotten his portion. Someone had taken 2 buckets. Is it Uncle Patrick? He looks suspicious. Or maybe it's Lauren's son, Justin. He's wearing this creepy, knowing smile. Or could Jimmy himself hide his chicken wings to get another portion? What do you think? Where are the wings? Look at the dog. It wouldn't leave Uncle Patrick's side. It can smell the meat the man has hidden. Damien was at work when he found out he'd won the lottery jackpot. He told his accountant he wanted to give half of this money to his best friend Logan. But random people started showing up in the office calling themselves Logan to deceive the accountant and get the money. Can you figure out who the real best friend is? It's the guy wearing a matching bracelet with Damien. Emily was standing on one side of the river, and Anna was on the other. Anna shouted to Emily to come and meet her, and Emily did that. There was no bridge across the river, but she crossed it anyway without even getting wet.
Hello.
How did she do it? The river was frozen. 3 people were stopped at the security check in an international airport. They were suspected of smuggling different stuff out of the country. The first man was heading to a beach resort. In his suitcase, there was a lot of stuff you could use at the seaside. An umbrella, a pair of sunglasses, sunscreen, and a beach towel. The second man had a cage with 3 colorful birds and a pet carrier with a family of hamsters. He had all the necessary papers. The third man was traveling for business. In his bag, he had a suit, some documents, a toothbrush, toothpaste, and a bottle of expensive shampoo. Who's the smuggler? It's the third guy. He's bald. Why would he need this shampoo? 5 men were fishing in a boat not far from the shore. A big wave turned the boat over and all the men fell into the water. And still, not a single man got wet. How come? All the men were happily married. Stephen was driving to work when he realized he had left a folder with important documents at home. It was about 9 a.m. when he entered his house and saw a man leaving through the back door and running to a red car. Stephen called the police and told them about what had happened. Police officers didn't waste time and went to look for the criminal. After searching for 10 minutes, they spotted a similar-looking car near a cafe. When they entered the place, there was only one customer there. One of the police officers came up to him. "Is it your car? Where were you 20 minutes ago?" The customer answered, "Yeah, the car's mine, but I've been sitting here for more than an hour." The police officer immediately arrested him. Can you figure out why? The police officer noticed that the cafe only opened at 9 a.m. The guy couldn't have spent an hour there.
Hazel is a rock climber. She's packing bags for an expedition to Everest. Can you spot any extra items in her suitcase? It's unlikely that you would need these fancy high-heeled shoes in the mountains. Also, this fragile vase is useless on a hike. Hazel orders a taxi to go to the airport. She's using this app. There are 4 free cars in her neighborhood, but only one of them can reach Hazel's home. Can you tell which one? It's the 3rd car. Hazel arrives at the airport. She takes a closer look at her ticket and faints. Can you guess why? The name of the airport on the ticket doesn't match the airport that she's in. Hazel needs to go to the correct airport as quickly as possible. These 2 drivers are eager to give her a ride. Can you tell who will reach the destination faster? Although the second car looks more expensive and chic, it has a flat tire. Therefore, Hazel should choose the first driver. Finally, Hazel boards her flight. She falls asleep right away. She wakes up in a while and realizes that someone has stolen her phone. Hazel questions 3 suspects. Bill says, "I've been watching a movie within the last hour. I didn't look around. Sorry." Kyle says, "I was sleeping too until you woke me up." And Sheila says, "I'm afraid of flying, so I listened to soothing music with my eyes closed." Can you guess who stole Hazel's phone? Nobody. She just dropped it on the floor over here. See? It's dinner time. Kyle offers Hazel his dessert if she succeeds in guessing the date of his birth. Here's a hint. The day before yesterday, Kyle was 22, and next year, Kyle will be 25. Can you help Hazel solve this mystery? Today is the 1st of January, and Kyle's birthday was on the 31st of December. Therefore, Kyle was 22 on December 30th. Then he turned 23 on December 31st. This year, he will turn 24, and the next year, 25. Finally, Hazel lands in Nepal. She enters the baggage claim area and sees 3 odd things right away. Can you see them too? There's a dog in this bag. Animals don't come with regular luggage. This baggage cart lacks all wheels and floats in the air. And these boats are parked outside the window along with the planes. Hazel arrives at the meeting point for climbers at the local restaurant. But there's no one there. The cleaning lady says, "I was busy cleaning the toilet and just got back. I didn't see anyone." The guard says, "Oh yeah, the meeting has been delayed for tomorrow, that's for sure." And the waiter says, "I've been here all the time, and I haven't noticed any crowds of tourists." Who's lying? The guard. See this sign? The meeting takes place on the roof. That's why they didn't see the tourists. On the way to the roof, Hazel sees a woman who's cleaning a window on the 10th floor. Suddenly, she slips and falls. She doesn't have any safety equipment and nothing to soften her fall. But yet, she's not hurt. How can this be? The woman was cleaning the window inside the building. Finally, Hazel meets her group of climbers, but one of these people is an imposter. Can you guess who? This guy has tentacles instead of a hand. He's definitely not from this planet. Hazel goes on an expedition with the group. She stops to take some pictures and gets lost. In a while, Hazel finds 3 roads leading to the next mountain village. But every path hides some adventure. There's a hungry snow leopard walking on the first path. There's a herd of Himalayan yaks on the second path. And Road 3 leads through an avalanche risk area. Any movement can make the snow slide down. Which way is more or less safe? Hazel should choose the second path. Although these yaks look pretty scary, in fact, they're friendly plant eaters. Hazel checks into the local hostel. She leaves her bags in the room and goes to see the sights of the village. After a while, she returns and finds out that someone had stolen her passport. Hazel calls the sheriff and he interrogates 4 suspects. The hotel manager says, "I was dealing with a tourist group that has just arrived. I didn't notice any robbers." The hostel owner says, "I was dealing with a bathroom clog all day." The gardener says, "I didn't enter the hostel. I was watering the roses in the garden." And the cleaner says, "I was too busy feeding fish in the lobby. I didn't notice anything suspicious." Who's lying? The cleaner. Can you see any aquariums in the lobby? Hazel visits a local restaurant. The cook offers her 3 meals to choose from. Can you help her pick the safest option? There's a worm in these instant noodles, and there are too many flies around this rice. It's probably not very fresh. So, Hazel should choose this sandwich. In the village, Hazel meets the local guide, Luke. He offers to show Hazel the shortest way to the top. But first, Hazel has to solve his riddle. Luke and his wife have 7 children. Half of them are sons. How is this possible? Can you help Hazel solve this mystery? They are all sons. Luke and Hazel begin the trip. On the way, he offers Hazel to visit the local magic caves. Hazel agrees, but eventually she gets lost inside one of the caves. She wanders around for a while and finds these 3 tunnels. There's a portal to the sun in the first tunnel. There's a box with an ancient magic gemstone inside the second tunnel. This gemstone curses anyone who sees it. And finally, the third tunnel hides a bunch of poisonous scorpions. Which way should Hazel choose to survive? The second one. The gemstone is locked in the box, so Hazel should just walk by it. Hazel needs to cross this toxic swamp to continue her trip. The only way to do so is to jump from one block to another. Can you help her choose the last stone wisely? Each block has a particular number: 1, 5, 9, 13, 17, and 21. This sequence is formed by adding the number 4. Therefore, the remaining block should be 25, not 27. Hazel continues her journey and finds this weird sign engraved on a rock. Can you help her crack the meaning of this code? The arrow is pointing to the right. The message is mirrored. If the POT is on the right, It means that the top, or top, is on the left. Now Hazel knows the right direction. It's getting really cloudy. It'll rain soon. Hazel decides to hide in one of these 3 caves and have some lunch. Can you help her pick the safest place to stay? Take a look at the tracks. The first cave is probably home to a family of bears. Mother bears can get furious when it comes to their cub protection. As for the second cave, it's obvious that a human being has entered it and come back out, which is encouraging. And now, let's take a look at the third cave. A human entered it but never came out. Therefore, Hazel should choose the second cave. Finally, Hazel reaches the top of the mountain. Suddenly, a kind wizard pops out of nowhere and greets her. He suggests Hazel relocate to a hidden magic world. He says, "I'll show you the gates if you solve my riddle. So listen carefully. I'm very fragile, and even just saying my name could break me. What am I?" Any ideas what it might be? The correct answer is silence. The wizard chose Hazel the gates. There are 3 doors, but only one of them leads to the magic world. Can you help Hazel figure this out? Only the second path leads to the final destination. Bye-bye! Now, Foggy is a friendly ghost living in the attic of an old house. Every night, he goes for a refreshing walk around the house for 4 hours. Foggy doesn't like 1 month of the year because that month he gets to walk around way less than the previous months. What's the month and why? It's February. There are just 28 days and nights in February, and 29 on the luckiest years. So, fewer nights and less time for Foggy to walk around. Just a month ago, Autumn and her family moved into a new house. Everyone loved it, but Autumn was sure that the house was haunted. She doesn't know it yet, but our old friend Foggy is the ghost that lives in her attic. He is a friendly ghost, so once he left her a message written on a mirror. Autumn woke up and saw this. Can you help her read the message? It's a code. Autumn should ignore the numbers and only look at the letters. The note says, "Do not be afraid. I am Foggy. And who are you?" Right before Halloween, when everyone was dressed up and carefree, all the creatures flooded a little town trying to blend in. Detective Callum was on duty to identify all the imposters and keep an eye on them. He has a couple of leads, and your task is to help him find all the monsters. Deal? The first one we need to find is a vampire. The vampire lives in one of these 2 houses. Can you tell which one? Look, there is garlic hanging in this house. Vampires can't stand garlic, they prefer cilantro, so it cannot be a vampire's house. So, the vampire lives in this one. Perfect, let's move on. One of these houses belongs to a centaur. Do you have any idea which one? It must be this one. Pay closer attention to the path to the house. There are footprints of horse hooves. Centaurs have an upper body of a human, but a lower body of a horse, which explains the prints. The centaurs must be living here. The next one we need to track is a mummy. Take a closer look at these 2 apartments. Where does the mummy reside? Now, did you notice the bandages all over the room here? It must belong to the mummy, so I bet that's his place. Now it's time to track the Cyclops. Keep your eye out and make your best guess. Did you notice this strange object in this room? It looks like a pair of glasses, but it only has one lens. Well, that's because it belongs to a Cyclops. They only have one eye, so that must be his place. Okay, we only have one last creature to identify, a gnome. Here are two apartments. Which one does the gnome live in? Did you notice that the mirror in this apartment hangs a bit too low? That's because gnomes are short. He must be living here. Other creatures that have flooded the town are robots. For Halloween, some people started to dress up like them, too. Look at these three people. Can you find the fake robot? Look at their footprints. The robot on the left has human footprints in the beginning that only later change into tire patterns. He must be the fake robot. Let's train your eyes a bit. Here are Halloween emojis. All of them but one has a pair. Can you find the one that doesn't have a pair? Great job! Here it is. Okay, one more time. Now there are even more emojis. Do you see the unique one? Here it is. Good! Now let's proceed. A month before Halloween, Daphne moved into a new modern house that was built in the early 2000s. It was a great house, but Daphne got it for a very low price because it was believed to be haunted. The girl didn't believe in that, so it didn't bother her one bit. On Halloween night, she returned home after midnight. When she walked into her room, she saw a ghost floating there. The ghost looked at Daphne and said, "You know what? You can't live here. It's my house. I've lived here for 100 years and you're making me uncomfortable." Daphne said that the ghost was lying. Why? The house was built in the early 2000s, so it's barely 20 years old. The ghost couldn't have lived there for 100 years. That's right, ghosts lie. It is Halloween night, full moon, all the creepy things, but Eslyn went to an abandoned spooky house in the woods alone. As soon as she walked in, the door behind her got shut and locked. She wandered around the house and found 3 doors leading out, but they didn't seem safe. Behind the first door, there was a werewolf. Behind the second door, there was a zombie. Behind the third door, there was a ghost. Which way is safer for her to choose? Eslyn should definitely choose the third door. Ghosts may be spooky, but they can't do her any real harm. Of course, Eslyn wasn't the only one who went to the house that night. Another student, Colton, dressed in the silver armor of a knight, decided to explore the spooky house too. Just like with Eslyn, the door got shut behind him right after he stepped into the house. He found 3 ways out too. Behind the first door, there was a vampire. Behind the second door, there was a huge dragon who hates strangers. Behind the third door, there was a huge cyclops that would crash anyone who walks in. Which way should Colton choose to stay safe? Luckily for him, he is dressed as a knight in silver armor. Vampires are afraid of silver, so the first way is totally safe for Colton. On Halloween night, Kennedy wanted to spend the evening with her boyfriend, but her dad was against her dating anyone. To go around it, she lied that she was going to trick-or-treat with her friends and promised to be home by midnight. She returned at 11:30 p.m. Yet her dad got mad at her and demanded to tell him where she really was. Wow! How did he understand that Kennedy didn't go trick-or-treating? She returned with an empty candy basket. Outside of town, hidden in the woods, there is a house where a group of friends live. A mummy, a mermaid, a ghost, a werewolf, and a witch. Every Halloween, they eat candy. There are 5 creatures, but this year they only have 4 chocolate bars, and they don't know how to split them equally. Maybe you have an idea? They should split each one of the 4 bars into 5 pieces, and then each creature gets a piece from each bar. This way, everyone will eat exactly 4 pieces of chocolate. Now that monsters and humans live next to each other, let's try to identify who is who. I will be showing you photos, and your task is to find a monster in each photo. Here's the first one. Can you find the monster? Look, this guy's skin is green. He's definitely not a human. Here is the next photo for you. Be attentive. Do you see someone who is not a human here? This girl in the swimming pool is a mermaid. Good job. Okay, here's one more. It's quite hard, but I believe in you. Who do you think is not a human here? Look, this woman doesn't cast a shadow. Now this is not normal for a human being, so she must be some other creature. Great job! Here's another one for you. Which one do you bet isn't a human? This person is carrying a wand. She must be a witch. This is probably the hardest one. You have to keep your eyes wide open. A photo of a local cafe. Do you see something suspicious? Look, there's a glass of blood in the air, as if someone's drinking it. It must be the vampire who's drinking it, but the vampire isn't in the photo because they can't be photographed. Technicalities. Okay, it's time to check how sleuthy you are, and I have a couple of riddles for you to crack, like a walnut. Here's the first one. Detective Callum is the best detective in town who has caught many criminals. Of course, some people don't like him, so he must be mindful. One day, he ordered his usual pack of donuts, which he eats when he thinks about twisted cases. Half an hour later, the doorbell rang, and there were 2 packs of donuts delivered. One of them must be poisoned, but which one? Look, this box is the same as the empty donut boxes in his office, which he always orders. So this box must be safe. But the other delivered box is very suspicious. I wouldn't eat that. Sophie has everything in particular places in her bedroom, but she is the only person who knows what is where. Quinn, Sophie's sister, asked Sophie to lend her a necklace for a party. The necklace was safely stored in a little box, but the box was hidden. So Sophie drew a map for Quinn to help her find it. Can you help Quinn to find the right box? The note is basically a map of Sophie's room. You just have to find the object she drew. Following the pattern, here's a box. The necklace must be there. Nova is taking piano lessons, but she doesn't like them. Her mother insists on her playing a musical instrument and makes her practice every day. During the summer holidays, Nova's mom went on a 2-week-long business trip and instructed her daughter to practice daily. The girl agreed, but in fact, she never even opened the piano during that time. When Mrs. Adams returned and Nova told her that she had been practicing, her mother didn't believe her. Why not? The piano's cover is dusty, which means it's been a while since Nova opened it the last time. Do you think you know countries well? Let's see.
Yay!
I'll show you several famous landmarks, and your task is to guess which country it belongs to. Okay? Let's start out easy. What do you say here? Of course, this is Lady Liberty, the Statue of Liberty, from New York City, New York. Great job! This one is easy peasy too. What do you say? It's the Eiffel Tower from Paris, France. These are one of the most ancient structures in the modern world. Can you name and locate them? These are the Pyramids of Giza, located in Egypt. Here's the next one. Can you locate it properly? This is Sydney Opera House from Sydney, Australia. Did you get it right? Another famous landmark, Machu Picchu. But where is it located? Do you remember? This beautiful landmark belongs in Peru. Gabriella is an archaeologist who explores the old ruins of Greece. One day, as she was working, she walked through a tunnel, but at the end of it, there was just a dead end.
Oh no!
Luckily, there were 3 doors, but only one of them would lead her out of the tunnel. There is a sign with 3 hints. One of the statements is wrong. Which door should Gabriella pick? 1. Door 2 will not lead you to freedom. 2. Door 1 or 3 will lead you to freedom. 3. Door 1 or 2 will lead you to freedom. One of the statements is wrong. If the wrong one is the first statement, then door 2 is the one Gabriella needs. But then the second statement is wrong too. If statement 2 is wrong, then door 2 is the one leading to freedom. But then the first statement is wrong too. If statement 3 is wrong, then door 3 is the one Gabriella needs. In this case, the other 2 statements are correct as well. So, door 3 it is. Mr. Morris is a landlord of an apartment building with a no pets policy. None of the residents are allowed to have any kind of pets. One resident reported that they have been hearing a cat in one of the neighboring apartments. Look at these 2 apartments. In which one of them does a cat live? Look, in this apartment, the walls and sofa are scratched on the bottom. These aren't human traces, so the cat must be living here. Several months later, there was another complaint. This time, someone heard a dog. Mr. Morris inspected 2 neighboring apartments again, looking for traces. In which apartment does a dog live? It must be this apartment. Look, the resident forgot to hide the dog leash. Okay, let's get back and locate a couple of more landmarks. What's the home country of the Taj Mahal? Taj Mahal is located in Agra, India. Okay, what is this, and where do you think it is? It's the Great Wall of China, located in, well, I think China would be the safe bet. Can you recognize this construction? What country can you find it in? It's the Colosseum from Rome, Italy. Maeve needs to log into her mom's laptop to delete the file she accidentally sent her. She doesn't know the passcode, but her mom always leaves notes with passcodes around in case she forgets it herself. Here is the only note Maeve could find. Can you help her guess the passcode? The key is to count the number of figures on each picture. There is one circle, so the first digit is 1. There are 4 big triangles, but they form 3 more little triangles, so the second digit is 7. Then 3 squares and 2 circles. The passcode is 1732. Another day, another passcode to crack. 1 week later, Maeve needed to get into her mom's computer again, this time to delete the email with her not-so-good grades. The previous passcode didn't work. Her mom had already changed it. But here is a new note with the new hints. These are the names of Maeve's family members. But what are the digits? The first name and the digit next to it give a hint on how to crack it. It's Maeve's name, and the number 5 must indicate the number of letters in it. So, other digits are the numbers of letters in other names. So, 5 for Maeve, 8 for Virginia, 4 for John, and 6 for Oliver. Nicole hosted a party in honor of her cat's birthday, and she invited several friends over. Karis didn't want to go there because she wanted a free evening to play her new video game. So she lied that her mom had grounded her and made her clean the room. To make it up to her best friend, the next day, Karis invited Nicole for a movie night. When Nicole arrived, she understood that Karis had made an excuse not to go to the party. How did she figure it out? Look, Karis's room is a total mess. If her mom forced her to clean it the previous night, it'd be way neater. Arden is on an expedition in a winter forest, and she got lost. Her devices froze, and she didn't know where to go, so she was walking straight, hoping to see something familiar. But then, she came across 3 ways, all of which seemed dangerous. The way straight goes past the cave where a huge brown bear is sleeping. The road on the left goes through the place where a pack of hungry wolves live. The right road will lead her to the lake with thin ice. Which way should Arden go? She should go straight and keep quiet. The bear is sleeping and most probably won't even wake up unless she makes too much of a noise. And a few more of these. This is the Acropolis, but where is it from? The Acropolis is located in Athens, Greece. This is a famous castle. Do you know where it is? The one and only Neuschwanstein Castle is nowhere else but in Germany. The last one of those for today. You've got this. Can you locate this landmark? It's Stonehenge, and it's in Wiltshire, England. Hey, good work!